anybody can see us live, just click some hearts, let us know. But I am Beth Weinstein. I'm here with my client, Nova Ray. Nova, thank you so much for being with us. I'm so excited for everybody to hear your story. So tell people first, what is it that you do? How do you help people? What is it that you offer? Tell a little bit about you.
Sure. Sorry, closing the window. I work with people who are shifting their shitty relationship patterns, essentially. So people who have a history of like toxic relationships or just like obsessive drives and that kind of thing. And what I do is pull people into their like transmute that power so that they can put it towards their projects and goals and business. So I've been noticing lately a lot of my clients actually have strong Scorpio placements, and I feel like that's kind of a specialty of mine as like a shadow integration specialist. And yeah, and relationship coach, I work a lot around people who are just healing from past relationships or going through breakups and just creating the space in their hearts to really own their next big love. So yeah, I'm not like let's find you the one, you know, or your ideal mate, or I think that's part of the result. But essentially you have to like marry your own heart and really look your shadow in the eyes. And that's my medicine. And I work with hypnotherapy and coaching and other intuitive modalities, and I just get to have so much fun with my magic in my containers, and it just keeps getting better and better. So.
Yeah, so Nova's one of my favorite stories because Nova was very resistant to joining my program, and I know there was a lot of stuff, and everybody goes through this. Of course, I go through this when I join programs. And I do remember you saying something about I do pretty deep work, and this is why I love Nova. She goes very deep, like on a level that you don't see out there very often, like doing the work that I believe that humanity really needs to be doing on so many levels right now. But Nova, I remember you saying to me, like, you know, are you going to be able to handle this? You know, like your depth of, because you go into some of these topics that a lot of people aren't comfortable even hearing about or talking about, you know, the shadow and sacred sexuality and women's empowerment and, you know, really taking a different perspective on this. So what do you think was your resistance to joining my programs? Actually, you've been in 2 of my programs, and then you've actually had some serious results in the program. So what do you think happened? Where was that disconnect?
So yeah, the resistance is, yeah, it's like sort of more than what you said. It's not just, you know, sacred sexuality or women's empowerment. I feel like everyone's doing that. I'm more doing like kinky BDSM topics or like taboo desires and really kind of that dark edge. And I was like, I don't know, who is this Beth? Is she just like love and light? Like, is it just going to be sort of this, you know, just kind of fluffy spirituality and law of attraction? I find, you know, kind of boring, just like straight, like just positive thinking. So I just wanted to make sure that you could hold my width and depth. And yeah, that was kind of my main fear, that I wouldn't feel like I fit in the group or something. But essentially, like, it's not so much about fitting in, it's just that like each person has their own special magic. And that was fun for me, actually, to just kind of like be the person that holds that place. Yeah, and I actually felt like, because I felt so in tune with my unique like magic and offering, I kind of just built more confidence in a way. Like if I was in a group with all other women's empowerment coaches, for example, I might feel like I was just one of many or something. But your group was so diverse that I actually ended up just feeling more confident in who I am and what I offer.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. And yes, I love, it's funny. I joke around about myself, how I like appear just so like I always call myself just so normal looking, right? I don't play the part of like a really deep person on a deep journey, but my God, my journey's been beyond deep with initiations at least a couple times a year in some way. But I, in every single workshop and webinar I ever do, there's a slide that says no fluff, because I agree with you. It's actually one of my biggest pain points, just being in this industry sometimes with spirituality and coaching and transformation, is there's so much surface on so many levels, including even business coaching. Like, I have never to this day been drawn to the coaches that are only talking about money. As much as I love money and, you're making way more money, I'm making way more money. It's a thing that I do believe we all need and need to embrace and love. But at the same time, it's much deeper than that. It's a full embodiment of, like you said, like becoming who you really are, stepping in your confidence, your authenticity, not being afraid to be seen, which of course, can you talk about that? Because, to this day, I have not seen one of my clients not go through this. Like, even if you're just like, oh, I'm a life coach helping people or whatever, like very general, everyone goes on through this journey of their own inner transformation, of coming out in a deeper way. Do you remember feeling that kind of like fear, or what will people think, or putting myself out there? And then, what was the before and after journey throughout this program?
Yeah, just what you were saying was just really grounding me into just the title of your path, or the title of your program, which is True Path. And I felt like that really landed in my heart, like more than anything else, like more than any step or, process or something. It was really that like true path, like meditation or mantra that I felt like guided by. So I just want to name that first. And then in terms of visibility, gosh, I was so, well, first of all, I was really blocked on workshops and offering anything. And I know that I have that power in me and I have that training and I've done it before, but for some reason I was like wounded and blocked on workshops, and I just like was like, I can never do that. I just felt totally frozen. So I think just, hearing you talk about workshops so much and the power of them, it helped me just like keep it at the forefront of my mind that that's important. And I found like the healing that I needed to around that. And then I have hosted some wonderful workshops and group rituals where I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm in my element. So that was one really big breakthrough. And also just with general online visibility, I feel like, yeah, it just became really crystallized, like who I'm talking to. And just that idea of like just talking to my ideal people and just telling them what they need to hear. And over the year, I'd say that just became easier and easier, and just more and more like just focus. Like really, that's the only people that matter, are the people that can benefit from what I offer. And yeah, I feel like it's been a giant journey of just shedding so much fear of judgment, of hatred, of I'm just like, I really don't care what anyone thinks about me. I know that I'm on a different path than most people, than all my friends, like locally, than everyone I grew up with. Like, I don't see anyone else doing this. But it doesn't matter, because I could see the power of my sessions over and over, and it's like, no, this is real. This is not just a pipe dream. This is actually my soul path, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. Oh, so much gold in all that. Yeah. It's funny. The name True Path Entrepreneur, It came to me through my Akashic record reader. She said something a little different, but it really resonated with this whole idea of, really getting into that alignment and being yourself and not being afraid. And of course, the journey to get there is tough. Like even for me, I speak very openly about how my own journey was very hard at many times. Like my former coach has seen me cry over this and break down, and then coming out about psychedelics, I thought I was going to be arrested. Like I even to this day I still get that, like, oh my god, my neighbor is going to find out. But my neighbor's probably watching this right now because now I'm Facebook friends with all of them. But this is it. This journey is your own, and this is where your unique medicine becomes so important. And Nova, I think you're actually you're such a good example of the kind of like magic that can happen from just being your truest self, putting your views out there, saying things that are very edgy. You've had, and of course almost everybody in the program's had this happen to them at least once, but you've had a lot of these where people have reached out to you saying like, oh wow, I really needed to hear that, or oh, I've been following you for a while, or even on Instagram, like the randoms coming in. Can you tell a story of that, like the magic, how you got a client or someone just reached out to you out of the blue, and it's like you don't even know why, except that you're sharing this, very deep level content that I think is not really around in many places either, like I don't see it around enough. So yeah, tell about that.
Yeah, happily. It's interesting how much more and more clear that's getting. Like, just as I really, really actually own my truth and my heart, I'm just so like bored by everything else I see online. And that's partly a motivating force for me because like, I just want things to be interesting and provocative and like kind of dangerous and kind of like, oh, I can't believe she said that. And I'm just getting off on that more, like that pleasure and that rush of like, ooh, how dare I say the thing, or how dare I like, and that to me becomes like this fun game of like, well, what else can I say that will thrill me? Like what feels scary for me to say? And then it's just totally kind of shocking for people, but it provokes emotion, right? Like when you really are speaking from your heart or from your depths and you're actually like, naming the thing and daring to be seen in that, it touches people at a deep level. Like some people might find it boring, doesn't matter. But like for other people who are just waiting to hear that, waiting for someone to say the thing, it just grabs people. And that has happened to me quite a bit over this year. Like people just, again, reaching out of the blue repeatedly. And sometimes I don't know what it is that I've said. But yeah, recently I posted something about just like working with Scorpios. It just because I was seeing that as a pattern in my clients, like some of the things that I'm learning about myself and my unique gifts are just coming from the sessions. Like I couldn't have planned my business before having a lot of sessions under my belt. And that's why, like, yeah, I'm grateful that your program is how it is, because I still don't have a website. And yet I have a full client roster, and like pretty much. And like but like the website is coming because I'm crystallizing exactly what I do, because I work with all these people. I'm like, oh, this is what I do. And a year ago I had a kind of idea, but now I'm like, this is really what I do. So now I'm like getting ready for a website. But yeah, I wrote something about working with people who have Scorpio placements, because that's what I was seeing. And I was like, yeah, I am the alchemical integration coach for Scorpios who want to claim their depth and devotion and drive and channel it into their business or their projects or their art. That's what turns me on the most. And then I had a free session with someone 2 days later, and it was just flowing so well. And I was like, do you have Scorpio placements? And she's like, yes, and they're so hard. They're like the hardest part of my chart. And it's like I knew, but I just had to like kind of name it. And then I felt like my field just like opened up to that kind of person. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I've been looking for a love coach, but I'm focusing more on business. And I'm like, I have been a love coach mostly, but now I'm focusing more on business too. I was like, let's work together. And it was a full yes. So yeah. And I just keep seeing things like that. It's very interesting, this like mirroring field when you step into confidence.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. And this is where I was so excited, because this is where the full yes is. This is where the resonation is. You know, I keep saying to people, it's not about serving the whole world as much as, yes, we all want to change the world, and the world is changing. You know, the little contribution you have, it all adds up. It's a domino effect. But the more you can really hone in on, you know, what are you lit up by? What are you excited by? You know, like even noticing this in your clients and noticing, yeah, it's a hard journey. One of my old clients who worked with me for like almost 2 years, still friends with her. She was like a double Scorpio, and oh my God, it was rough. You know, it's like initiation after initiation. But I love this, what you said, you know, this stuff like out of the blue that starts to happen when you step into this confidence and this knowing, and really getting clear on what you offer, who you're speaking to, and not being afraid, and, you know, almost welcoming, like you take this approach of like loving it, you know, like welcoming the haters. This is, you know, I've trained my clients because of what I've gone through with haters. You know, at first, you know, many years ago when I started getting haters, I was like, oh my God, you know, random person doesn't know me, writes me a mean email. But I've learned now it's actually a great sign. You know, it's like, it's amazing to get clear on, oh, okay, you're not really the right fit for me if you don't like what I'm saying. There's Derek, I love you too. But it's totally that. It's that clarity that you get. And Nova said it. Seriously, people don't believe me when I say you don't need a website. And if anything, you have to wait on the website until you get really clear, because then you're going to end up redoing it anyways. You know, maybe now, if you had done a website a year and a half ago, maybe it would have been like pink and red, and now it's going to be this like dark, beautiful, like amazing, feminine, you know, edgy. I mean, even me, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to redo my own website, like, because it's so, I mean, it was honestly never quite who I was to begin with, but I had to get it done at some point. But I love that you're this living example of getting clients out of the blue, getting the clarity you want, you know, really stepping in. Can you tell a story about, like, what do you think your deepest journey in the last year has been? Because you've mentioned things like letting go of old jobs, like job jobs, partnership, you know, relationship getting better, like manifesting things, like stepping into your own personal power. What do you think has been like the most growth you've had? Obviously, then there's clients as well.
It feels like the thread through the year has really been the zone of genius. Like, and just focusing on that every day. And like, that's the only thing I truly want. And I'm allowed to not know what that is. And that changes everything. That changes everything in my life. So yeah, I let go of my last other kind of jobs. Like, this really is the only thing now, which is what I've always wanted. And I'm almost struggling to integrate that like, oh my God, I'm in the place that I always wanted to be. I have clients and I love them so much and I'm so good at it. And like, I'm just managing all of them. And I'm like, I can totally hold this. So there's that of just like fully being in that. And also, yeah, my partnership, my romantic partnership, totally up leveled. We moved in together this year. It's a place called The Royal, and I feel very much like this is the year that I really crowned myself in my sovereignty. And yeah, and that's a big part of the work I do with my clients as well, is that sort of crowning your whole self and your shadow and your underworld, and like moving out of conflict with yourself. so that you can just like be fully integrated. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, it's very much like alchemical integration. And this whole year has just been me coming together and like merging with my vision and my love. And yeah, I almost feel like I did it. Like I could just die now. But it's like, I am my old self, right? Yeah. And it's like, what is now being born is new dreams, new visions, and bigger and wider.
So incredible. This is so amazing. I love it. And I know that feeling. For me, it was like I was running 2 businesses, and when I finally cut the cord completely with the old business, it was scary and it was sad and this and that, but that's when everything just blew up. And yeah, there are days like I go through this as well. A lot of my clients go through this where it's like, wow, this can actually be something I love, something that's fun. It doesn't even feel like work, I mean, for the most part, it doesn't. It feels just like you're living what you're here to do and you're born to do. Now, one of my favorite stories with you as well is that you actually joined my program after the pandemic hit, which, of course, there's a whole bunch of people that join after it. But you and I mean, we both, and I know a lot of viewers and most of my clients get it. We knew that this meant something. It wasn't just like, oh, there's a virus and here we are. But it's a larger scale transformation that's happening, and it's going to be interesting to say the least over the next few years. We'll see. But what occurred to you in that moment that you were like, I'm ready to go for it? Because I actually remember what you wrote me. I think you said something like, if this isn't the time, I don't know when would be. And that's what I keep saying. I'm like, if you guys don't think 2020 is the time, and now 2021, what does it take to be pushed to that edge of like finally living your dreams? But yeah, what was going on in your head?
Well, I had actually done, okay, my last group thing I did in person was an ayahuasca ceremony, and it was in early March, like at the very beginning of March. And then I joined your program later that month, and it just really felt like, to me, like a just no-brainer bridge. It just felt like, yeah, it was time. Like I had just gone through a transformative spiritual experience, and it felt like there was just nothing in my way anymore. And it's just really been the best year of my life. I know it's been hard for many people, but I'm just owning my story. Was like, I needed to hole up and be fully focused. And this is the first year ever that I've been just 100% devoted, like married to my soul path. And it's like, yeah, it's time. And I've just felt fully supported all year that way, and just letting myself be supported by you, even though, like, this is one of the other like big doubts I had with your program was like, is this too basic for me? Like, I kind of already sort of know about business, and I'm not totally new. Is your like, I was like, is Beth's program just for beginners who've like never done anything in business? Because I had some clients before, and I had like a package and an offer, and I'd been in another program, like a long one. So, but like, I just had to trust, and I'm glad I did, that I needed just to be handheld like a kindergartner, step by step, children. Like, that's kind of somewhat of the vibe. Like, we're just gonna do these steps, and I was like, I don't want to, but like, I knew that I needed someone to just make it really simple and walk me through it. And I feel like I am just so grateful that I have that foundational building blocks that I can continually, repeat as needed. It for me was the missing piece of like business basics 101. Like, I'd already kind of thought I was further ahead, but like I had missed these basics. And I'm just really glad I humbled my ego And that sometimes is the hardest part, like just humbling to say like, okay, I need help. Like, I wish I could do it by myself, but I really can't. Like, there's a death there. There's an ego death just to be like, help me, Beth. Like, so I'm really grateful that I got over myself.
It totally takes putting the ego aside. Trust me, I get it. I'm like, I'm with a new business coach. He's great. I love him. But man, like but I'm one of these people, I love being like hammered. I love the constructive criticism. It's the only way to learn. Or I love someone, humbling me back to the me who doesn't know anything, because hey, I'm learning from someone making multi-millions and I'm making multiple six figures. And yeah, I would love to get to multi-millions. So yes, I have to be humble. And that's part of this journey. The ego doesn't really work in these programs. And to be honest, to me as an entrepreneur, it's a constant humbling process. So the faster someone can learn this to keep their ego in check, the better it'll actually be for their business too. So this is awesome. And I really loved what you shared about, being honest about your resistance. And then also, this realization of the bridge, what you went through from that ceremony, global pandemic, knowing that I think you reached a point in your life where you're like, I really need to make this real, especially, when you have so many gifts inside of you, like you have done the deep level work. And this is what I'm constantly saying to people. I'm like, what are you doing all this work for just for you? If you feel the need to share it and serve and create change and transformation, then why are you holding yourself back? Like, especially if you've spent a lifetime doing your work. And this is actually most of my clients, especially in the 2021 program. These are people who've done, 10,000 different things and, lifetime of this deep healing path. And they're like, okay, I'm ready to actually contribute to a larger scale change I want to see. What would you say to someone who's really stuck in that place of, because I talk to them all the time on the phone during my free calls, who, they've spent their lifetime healing and been on this deep journey and they're like, okay, I think I'm ready to be a coach or be a healer or bring them both together. But then they're scared to make it happen or they're scared to invest in getting coaching. Like, what would you say to them?
Oh gosh, just like, I want to say don't do what I did, which is just like try to push that dream away or like, because it's not an easy path. And there are much easier things that we can do. There are, and I've tried them. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go just do this job or just pay my bills or whatever. Yes, it's important to pay your bills. And sometimes it takes having a job and doing this at the same time. But like, if you have a dream or a wish like that in your heart, it's not really going away and it's real. And because you desire it, it's real. And yeah, you have to risk and jump in. There's like that, that Terrence McKenna quote about leaping into the abyss and finding a feather bed. And that's a big one for me. And I feel like this coaching world offers many opportunities to take that risk that's like, ooh, this is a lot of money or it's a lot of time. It's a big investment emotionally. But it's a portal, another portal of initiation. And it's a way to say like, yes, I am worthy of this. Yes, my desire is sacred. And it needs to be honored because otherwise I'm only half alive. Like it's, I wish that I could like, the first time that I ever made like a big leap like that, it just paid off in so many ways. Like I remember I broke up with my partner at the time and I stepped into like living in this space by myself. And it's just that feeling of like, I deserve support and I don't have to do this by myself. And there's people who've done it before me and I just have to swallow that difficult pill of like the challenge of it and the like rising so that I can do the work that I came here to do. And like literally it's all hands on deck. Like now is that time. Like the world needs our light. The world needs our gifts. There's no other time. There's not another time where we're going to be more needed. So that's kind of how I see it, is this sort of almost like a rebel army of peace and love and integration. We just got to do what we came here to do. That's it. That's it.
That's exactly, I say this constantly. I'm like, we were born at this time in the history of the earth and humanity for a reason. And if you don't see it happening all around you every single moment, every single day, I don't know what it will take. But I just spoke to someone the other day and I was like, well, maybe it's really going to take being pushed to the ultimate edge and doing, you know, like being faced with all your deepest, darkest shadows, you know, as above, so below within yourself in the collective. It's pretty obvious. I'm like, I don't know, just turn on the news and see what's happening. But you know, everybody on their own path. But I get it. All hands on deck. The time is now. Nova, tell people a little bit about what you're offering right now. How can they find you? And then we'll put in your you know, your Facebook and Instagram in this video in the comments. But yeah, tell people about what you're offering right now.
Yeah, so okay, so it's winter. So I'm still in this underworld journey with my clients. So until spring, I'm focused on Persephone and the underworld and crowning your shadow and coming to peace with your darker desires and the pain. Essentially, like, Persephone holds the wisdom of transmuting your pain and just coming into a whole new relationship with it. So that's the relationship coaching work I've been doing, is like helping people stare their pain directly in the face and essentially incarnating. A lot of people are focused on ascension and like rising up above, and as if you could almost come out of your body in this lifetime and, you know, whatever. But I'm really like, I'm finding that like heaven for me, at least what I found, is through and in the underworld and in being in pain and loving all parts. So a lot of the work I've been doing has been kind of about that like Jungian fairy tale integration, like with your damsel or your evil queen, finding that the prince to rescue you within your own heart, that kind of, and what would your bad self do, that like bad girl permission. So that's what I'm here to do, is create a playground for your bad girl and help you face your own pain. And people can get in touch with me on Facebook. And I don't want to say I always have free consultations, but if you would like an hour conversation with me, that is free for now. And I'm very happy to talk with anyone who wants to kind of shine a light, illuminate darker patterns, those kind of unhealthy, like they feel unhealthy or toxic or sticky. I'm here to just like hold space for all of that and see your brilliance. So yes, very much inviting people in to play if they feel ready.
Beautiful, beautiful. Gosh, can you do this for all our world leaders, please? That would be nice. Eventually,
do they have Scorpio placements? I don't know if they'd be ready for me.
I'm like, eventually everybody's going to have to do this whether we like it or not. The universe will make us, and that's part of, I think, what we're going through, but we'll see. Who am I to say? Nova, this has been really great to talk to you. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, and we'll put your information in the links in this video. And it was really an honor to be with you and to hear this. And, you know, hopefully those that are watching or see this video will have hope that, you know, you can do it too. I mean, it's not, you know, it's just learn the steps, stay in action, be willing to feel a little uncomfortable and do the deep level work, and voila, things get magical and easy. They really do. And it always just goes upward from there, really.
Yeah, and I love that about your program too, that there's such a focus on reaching out to your people and talking to people, because then once you have those real people's voices in you and you've gone through that process with them, it's like it just becomes that much more real that you're here actually to serve those people. It's not a fantasy or just an idea of helping the world. You're like, no, there's real people who actually need what I offer. So more than anything, I appreciate that base and how real you made that for us. So thank you so much, Beth. It's been such a wonderful journey.
Thank you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Yeah, put your links in the video, and everybody, I think I'm talking to tomorrow one more of my clients to hear his journey in the program. And thank you, Nova, for being with us. Everybody, we'll see you then. Have a good one. Bye.